Hello and welcome to PQ Prime. I'm Hiral Dadia. Probably it's time to raise a toast for Sula Vineyards as well with Rajeev Samant here. Rajeev, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Hiral.
Rajeev, I think this is a time we should be probably raising a toast as well, as I mentioned, with the year that you've had in terms of FY23 and phenomenon. I mean, the kind of milestones that you've managed to achieve. Has it met your internal expectations?
I'm happy to say that it's not only met my expectations, it sort of exceeded my wildest expectations if you could have asked me 2 or 3 years ago. It's been a landmark year for Sula. FY23 is a year that we're always going to remember. The year we went public. We are India's only listed public wine company with more than 60% market share in the important segments. And then some fantastic financial results, boom in wine tourism, hitting records in terms of profits. So what else could I ask for?
Absolutely. So what is it that has worked? What is that formula for you?
I got to say that COVID was something that really helped us, because it helped focus us on what are the important things, not only in life, but also in business. So, I don't mean that in any way. I know that a lot of people really suffered during COVID. And of course, there was a lot of suffering. But in terms of business, being on the vineyard for 1 year and just thinking about what we needed to do to first survive and then to thrive, that's what really helped. And we realized we want to focus on our own brands. We want to, within that, focus on the premium brands, and we want to focus on our wine tourism. These are really our 3 pillars, and doing it all with a big focus on sustainability, which has worked really well for us.
Right. So now if you have to look at growth from here on, are you looking at similar levels or something better?
See, FY23 is very remarkable in terms of growth. One can't expect to do really better than that. One can expect to continue the journey that started and show good, strong double-digit growth and try to keep the margins going as per what we've already achieved. That would already be a pretty good result for the next couple of years.
Right. So if you have to see in terms of the revenue split by business segment as well, right? Between own brands, third-party brands, wine tourism. Yes, wine tourism is increasing slowly, steadily. We've already seen good, growth coming in terms of own brands. From a 4.7% from third-party brands, do you think that's going to shrink lower further?
Yes, it's going to shrink further in the first 6 months of FY24. I want to point out that today our own brands plus wine tourism is now 95% of our business. Something like 3 years ago, it was something like only 75%. Sorry, I might have that number a little wrong, but you understand the magnitude of the difference in focus. And so this is what we are today. Third-party brands is no longer a focus area for Sula. We parted ways with Beluga vodka, which is a Russian vodka. A lot of issues, logistic issues, payment issues, and we just decided to part ways with that. So now we pretty much have a wine-only portfolio. That's probably the way we're going to go. We are the masters of wine. We're the experts in wine. That's what we're going to be focusing on for the next year or two.
Right. And between premium, elite, as well as the economy and popular, are you still seeing the revenue mix change in terms of categories? Because we have seen premium grow. There is economy which is reducing. So what's that trajectory expected to look like?
Absolutely. That trajectory continues, the move towards elite and premium versus economy and popular. I have some numbers here which somebody just pinged to me. Our elite and premium went up to something like 89% in Q4 versus something like 80% last year Q4. So that just shows that the trajectory continues unhindered. People are reaching more and more for 800 rupee, 1000 rupee wines, and the 300 and 400 rupee segment is no longer our focus. That's not our business. Strong discounting. We want to fight on our quality and on our equation for those who actually are starting to know their wine. That's really where we want to be.
Right. And again, from the expansion perspective, what does it look like from here on? Because clearly, the brownfield project for 2.2 million liters, that's something which is already on track in terms of phase one. What's phase two looking like?
So I want to remind that we actually built a 6 million
Correct.
liter capacity building, and 2.2 million liters is the tankage, the storage vessels that we've put in there. So we have all this space now to build out. Our building lead times have come down a lot because we started to go for different ways of more modern ways of construction. So we no longer have to now take the call 1 year in advance. We can take the call 6 months before the harvest and decide what we need to build. But I do see that we will need to build out another million liters or so at least of tank space in this current financial year. But we put in a lot of capex last year, 85 crores of capex. This year the plan is a little bit lower, 55 crores. That would still mean between the two, we are talking about 140 crores of capex, which is our largest ever in a 2-year cycle. So still capex going on, and we will have enough for the great harvest that we're expecting even next year.
Right. And from a tourism perspective, right now we've seen a number of around 45 crores on a yearly basis. What's the milestone that we want to achieve from a tourism business perspective?
So what that masks is the wine sales that we do in tourism, because that comes into our overall wine sales. If you actually looked at everything we are selling, food and beverage, wine, and hotels, we hit around 80 crores in FY23. And I'm very pleased to say that we're targeting 100 crores for FY24. And it looks like we will be on track. We're adding rooms. We just have a total boom going on. More and more people are arriving every day. In the month of April, which is typically one of our lowest months, we had our third and fourth highest revenue days ever for our wine tourism business. Typically, December is that month when we hit our records. And so that just shows the way it's going on. So we have more rooms, more opportunities for you to come and enjoy. Tasting spaces, it's just and more flights flooding into Nasik Airport and Shirdi Airport. You have a lot of people doing the divine wine tour, Shirdi Darshan and then Sula Darshan. So
Right.
Disrespect, man.
That's fantastic. The other question I want to ask you is, when someone is looking at Sula from a performance perspective, would it be correct to compare a quarter on quarter specifically for third and fourth quarter? Because usually what happens is third quarter is really heavy, right? Fourth quarter usually is when we see that season wean off, So would it be right to compare that on a sequential basis, or it should still be a year-on-year comparison?
Wine is very seasonal. It has to be year on year. It would be wrong to look at it sequentially. That is not our business. You have to really, and I also would say, you to take sort of a whole year at a time, because there's long trends. There's preparing for wines. It's a 5-year cycle sometimes. So we are not really a business that lends itself very well to the quarterly earnings cycle, the tyranny of the quarterly earnings cycle. Having said that, when you start looking at things in an annual and long-term perspective, it's a great long-term story.
Right. And another question from a raw material perspective I wanted to ask you, Rajeev, is unseasonal rains. How bad an impact can that cause?
I'm really happy to say that it hardly impacted us at all. Over the years, we and our farmers have really figured out how to mitigate the worst effects of climate change and global heating. I'm not saying that there can't be problems right around the corner, but I do say that the way we do things today is very different than just 5 years ago, so that a lot of those possible unseasonal rains don't affect us. So pretty much close to zero impact on our grape procurement during this season. And I'm very happy to say, considering the reservoirs fill level in Nasik, at this point, we are looking good. Even if we have an El Nino effect, even if we have a delayed or deficient monsoon, I think we'll be absolutely fine the way it looks right now, even for our 2024 harvest.
I mean, that's great to hear as well. So, all right. Thank you, Rajeev, so much for joining us on the show and giving us those views. And congratulations and good luck.
Always a pleasure, Hiral. Thank you.